Good morning. Since the churches had to close, I've been bringing a message every Sunday for those whose local congregations cannot provide an online service, or for those who might be interested in what the moderator has to say. This is my 8th such service. It's also my last, because next Saturday I complete my term as moderator of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland. Next Saturday I will be handing over to the Reverend Dr. Martin Fair and a service which will be beamed online via the website and Facebook. And after that, Ruth and I will retreat from the world of social media. We do want to thank you so much for your support and for your encouragement and interest. Ruth and I will be doing a final week of morning reflections beginning tomorrow, and our last one will be on Friday the 15th. We're living in uncertain times, and uncertainty is draining. It encourages our minds to play tricks on us, and we create in our head all kinds of imaginary scenarios, each one of them worse than the one before. When will things start to improve? When will it be safe to meet with others? What's going to happen about my job, our children's education, our social life? Will there be any holidays for anyone this summer? Then there are the endless what-if questions, and all they do is wear you down and wear you out. Or else there are those that are specifically focused, someone we know who's ill, or who has lost their job, who has a mental health challenge, or is serving on the front line. Behind this is the longing to get back to normal life again. Very often when we are down and needing help, people are quick to come round and try and give support, and they so often just utter platitudes. Don't worry, they say. Don't be upset. It'll be fine. Please don't get worked up. We've heard something like that being said when we've been having a bad day, and if we're honest, we've probably said something similar ourselves to others. It's meant to be a word of reassurance, but very often instead of it being a help, it actually makes the situation worse. And there are two reasons for that. The hearer feels rightly or wrongly that the speaker does not grasp how they feel, or the seriousness of the situation they're facing. And secondly, the words in and of themselves add nothing unless we can give them solid reasons for hope to put their trust in. And yet, this is precisely what Jesus said on that fateful evening, which would culminate with his betrayal and arrest and then lead the next day inexorably to the cross. Do not let your hearts be troubled, he said. Someone has said that those words form the hardest commandment of all the ones that Jesus gave throughout his ministry. However, as always, our Lord knew exactly what he was saying. He was not offering a platitude, but a prescription for heart trouble. We might want to start by asking why the disciples of Jesus needed any comfort at all. And the answer is quite simple. Their lives over the last few days had been turned upside down. It wasn't long ago that they had been imagining Jesus arriving in triumph in Jerusalem and leading an insurrection against Rome. And still secretly they may have harboured such hopes. However, they were also aware that when he had the chance to mobilise the crowd on what we call Palm Sunday, he'd let it slip. And they had sensed an increasing tension within the city, a gathering storm, that hostile forces were coming out more and more openly against Jesus, setting traps, plotting behind the scenes. So much so it wasn't safe for them to stay within the city walls overnight. That night they'd made a rare exception in order to share the Passover meal. However, to protect themselves, they'd kept the location secret except for a limited few. It should have been one of the joyful occasions in their yearly calendar, but it had gone wrong from the start. They'd been wrong-footed by Jesus when they had pretended not to see the basin and the towel at the door. With no servant in attendance, they weren't going to stoop and wash each other's feet. However, Jesus had no such hesitation and was down on his knees at once, leaving them feeling both embarrassed and ashamed. And then he went on to tell them bluntly that one of his closest followers, one of those in that room at that moment, was going to betray him. He didn't name names, but he did sow unease and uncertainty in the group. And then he called for them to look after one another and to let the badge of their discipleship be love for each other when he was not there. Peter picked up that what had been planned as an anniversary meal for the Passover was now becoming a farewell meal by Jesus. And he professed unswerving loyalty that he would stick by Jesus, come what may. Only to be told in no uncertain terms that he would let Jesus down badly before the night was over. No wonder then that they were troubled. Everything that they had worked for over the last 3 years was slipping like sand through their fingers. It wasn't meant to be like this. Only 4 days earlier they had lived off the acclaim Jesus was getting as he rode into Jerusalem. They'd done at least mental high fives when Jesus had outwitted the religious and political authorities in the temple only 48 hours earlier. So what was going on? Into this situation, Jesus, who above all had reasons to be troubled, sought to comfort them. However, he also gave them what they needed to keep going, and it's also what we need now at this time. The first thing, the central thing they needed to do was to trust Jesus, whatever lay ahead, and to believe that God had not been taken by surprise or put on the back foot. Believe in God, said Jesus. Believe also in me. But that's the problem. When things go wrong, the temptation is always to doubt, to lose faith. Instead, it is at that very moment we are called to put our faith centre stage, to affirm what we believe and to hang on to it, to keep our focus on Jesus, to recall all that he did in his ministry and what he was with others in need and what he's already been for us. Not dismiss him or banish him to a corner. We should also remember the promises of Jesus, who said, I will not leave you. I am praying for you. You are not alone. I care for you. And then he assured them that whatever they were called to face, in the immediate future, their future was secure. And so he said, let me tell you what lies ahead, not immediately, but ultimately. In the end, I'm going to take you home, and when you get there, you will feel at home. I have prepared a place for you, and now I want to prepare you for that place. It's no pokey future that awaits. There will be plenty of room for all. Better than anything you could hope for or imagine. And remember, Jesus should know he was a carpenter by trade, and he wouldn't sign it off unless it met the highest standards, not just on the surface, but right through. This summer, it may be that we'll have to have staycations, that is, holidays at home. That can be disappointing if we were looking forward to going away, if we'd paid our deposit, got the brochure, planned the journey, and imagined what we would do when we would get there. Well, whatever we face, I want to assure you now that there will be no cancellation to our final destination. And furthermore, Jesus said, you will not have to find your way there unaided. Jesus said, I will come for you. You don't need to have a map or a sat-nav. I know the way. I will be your guide and I will lead you. And I'm the truth And I will be honest with you what the journey is like, so that you're prepared. And I am the life who transforms existence into life abundant. Paradoxically, the way he would lead would be via a cross, where he would be hung up, condemned by a tissue of lies, and they would take his life and proclaim him dead. But living on the right side of the resurrection, we know now, looking back, that his way was right, that we find truth in who he is and what he did and what he said. And by conquering death, he now holds, for those who trust in him, the key to life. He has no peers, no rivals and no successors. If you have Jesus, you have enough. At this time, we're looking in all directions for answers. We hang on to the words of politicians. We listen to the wisdom of medical experts. And all the time there are rumours that are flying around. However, for peace of mind, we need to keep Jesus Christ central in our thinking. Then we can pray for politicians who have enormous challenges to face. We can respect the insight of medical experts and disregard the rumour and conspiracy theorists. Rather, we can live one day at a time at peace, recognizing the power of prayer, trying to do what is right both as citizens and as Christians, showing practical love as we are able to any and to all. We can be the resurrection people of God who have faith in the future, demonstrate love here and now in the present, and hold on to our certain hope. There is no need for our hearts to be troubled. May God help us so to trust and to live. God bless you all.